Hello, and welcome to Equestria War, Hoi 4, with the city of Flowena, the Chocolate de Roseboon. This is gonna be a very interesting series, the most interesting of them all. No one could be better, of course. In the feudal order that was common across Griffonia, Flowena was for centuries part of Pomavaria, which in turn was part of the Kingdom of Aquilia, which in turn was part of the Griffonian Empire. Before the invasion of Emperor Grover I, it had been the northeastern bastion of Aquilia, an imposing fortress famed across the continent. But when Grover I attacked, he bribed the garrison and took it with ease. Afterwards, the fortifications were left to crumble and the settlement around them grew. As the small town became a center of trade between Aquilia and the imperial heartland, it turned into a prosperous city, famous for its colorful textures, large botanical gardens, and wealthy banks filled to the brim with coins. Flowena became known as the most beautiful city in all of Griffonia. Its ruling merchants soon began to desire more rights and privileges, and in 871, Emperor Grover III granted Flowena the status of imperial free city, much to the dismay of Pomvaria and Aquilia. After Aquilia succeeded from the empire and took Flowena with it, King Gerald Discreet asserted dominance over the city and began to integrate it into his kingdom. But when the Achillean Revolution took place in 980, Flowena saw their chance and declared independence, becoming free of any obligations or payments to the distant capital of Aquilia. During the chaos and war that followed, Flowena was like a part in a storm, being spared from devastation, welcoming refugees from nearby lands. When peace returned and the king regained his crown, Flowena continued to prosper, yet feared the king, who could at any moment decide to return them under his despotic rule. In the meantime, the number of lower-class workers swelled, and many of them lacking the rights that the original citizens, the patricians, had. They have become increasingly agitated, bold and organized in recent years. Some patrician families, such as the Indigo, promise to give them what they desire, while most look down upon the unruly common filth and wish to put them back in their place. In 1004, Chocolate de Roseboon was chosen by a rigged sortition to lead the city. He came from an old and respected family, and his father, Branzino the Magnificent, who was the mayor for many decades, wished for his first son to succeed him. Unfortunately for Flowena, he is a gluttonous and incompetent fool, uninterested in actually doing his job, yet recently has changed his tune and abandoned decadence parties. He told everyone to wait for the new year, when he would make a very important announcement. We have the New Year's resolution, which sounds, fun. Maybe we'll do that. Let's prepare the normal way we normally do, we can do some gold stuff. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. We'll definitely be doing a lot of that, okay? Astrid Kosh, a famed and capable mercenary from Herdsland, Astrid Kosh has served Flowena numerous times over the years, guarding the city from foreign aggression and maintaining order in the city itself. She is an experienced captain of several mercenary companies and participated in numerous conflicts across Griffonia. Before entering regular service under Flowena's wealthy patricians, 2 years ago she was offered a position as a captain of the militia, along with free citizenships, which she graciously accepted. Nearing her 50s, she looks forward to a peaceful and opulent retirement in Flowena's manor. Now let's look at second thoughts. Days passed, and Chocolate looked at the calendar anxiously. Outside his office, the people were waiting for his speech to see what his grand plans for the future were. But doubt had beset him. Perhaps his plans were too ambitious, too confident, and his skills and knowledge too lacking to execute them. He was not certain and paced around his office, eating countless plates of comfort food to alleviate stress. After 2 weeks, he finally had an idea of what to do. His younger brother Bruno, who was studying economics in Middenham University, was admittedly far more competent than him, and now Chocolate had come to realize that he needed his help if he truly wanted to implement any changes. Yes, a letter would be sent to Yale, asking for Bruno to return and aid his sibling in need. Their father, Branzino, had always wanted Chocolate to rule alone, but now it was clear to him that they were meant to rule together. And now we get the Griffonian generic tree. this is a very important tree for us to obtain. Now we can open the political sphere. The future of our nation is in our talents. It's time to decide our destiny. Yeah. We also have General Nicholas de Chardon. Oh, the King of Broadfield agrees to sell gold. How grace. Our message returned from Kizzen, bringing us good news. The Kingdom of Broadfield accepted our offer and wishes to sell a substantial amount of gold. Some of it has, of course, been gained via looting during their war, but gold is gold. Once we receive it and pay them, we can store some of it in our vaults and sell the rest to distant countries for a profit. Sweet, sweet gold. Now, of course, banking is an old Flowena tradition. Banking families control the city's politics. They often desire to accrue even more wealth by giving loans and trading gold. Nicholas de Charbon is the last living member of the small de Charam dynasty. His father was an attorney, but was too indebted to afford joining the Judges Guild. His family had once been princes of Pomvera, before the title had been abolished by the King of Aquilia. Ever since the family had lived in exile in Flowena, wealthy enough to be considered patricians, but never gaining full citizenship. As a child, Nicholas was taught rhetoric and history, and became fluent in multiple multiple languages. As an adult, he has worked as a secretary, diplomat, and finally as a commander of the militia. The Grifonian Empire asked for a loan. A representative of the Grifonian Empire arrives in Flowena today and wished to meet with our banking families. He said they desire to borrow money from us, and we are willing to pay the interest for it. After some negotiation, it was agreed that they could repay the loan in 1 year or choose to extend it. Of course, we must consider if they are truly capable of paying the debts or if we can afford to give them money. It is a deal. We have General Drizé de Ortiz, born with his twin sister during the Aquilian Revolution as Francus Dictator's firstborn son. In the awe of the Republican windstorm, his family lost nearly everything. That situation was about to repeat itself. Young René began to learn the art of war at a very early age from his uncles who took part in both revolution. That's good for you. Both revolution and restoration of monarchy, continuing later in the officer academy. Wealth and prestige of the house increased slowly and steadily under the strict eye of Lord de Artois. The culminating point of it was supposed to be a wedding of his oldest daughter Marie, a noble griff from a discreet family, blessing that was about to become the greatest curse. Oh, of course you can have a loan. Of course Biccolini can be prime minister. Of course they can have a loan. At the day of the wedding, she ran away in fear that her new husband would never turn out to be that the new husband would turn out to be just like her father and brother. With their reputation now in ruins, the only logical step was to move away from Aquilia. They chose Flowena, seeing all his hard work turning to dust in such a short moment. Lord Francos experienced a mental breakdown. A mental breakdown. A deal. Oh, another deal. With seeing all the hard work. Unable to lead, the mantle of the head of the house was left to his oldest son, Ren D'Antos. At first he did not take the sudden change too well, but soon he understood that he had no choice in the matter. Feeling bitter over losing the grand future they had promised him enlisting in the Flowena militia. It is a surprise he was most welcomed here. We also are now strengthening the government. It is becoming more and more clear that a strong centralized state is required for any moderation. The days of feudal realms are numbered. And we have General Alcaire de Vermilion. The Vermilions are perhaps the least liked patrician family in Flowena. Can I read about them at least? Their aggressive pursuit of wealth and competition allowed them to become among the richest families in Flowena, but made them few friends among the other families. The youngest... Oh. Come on. Oh, more stuff going on. I don't care. I still can't give you guys loans. I'm sorry, dudes. I still can't give you guys loans. I still can't give you guys loans. I still can't give you guys loans. I mean, the youngest child of Gata de Maroon, the least liked head of house since... Oh. And I gotta do this. You know, this is very important. I gotta keep with my focus tree, of course. No, I'll continue reading this first. But made them few friends among the other the least liked head of house since them, who first established the family in Flowena. Aline Claire never quite got along too well with the rest of the family. She had little interest in business. I can't believe you. Enterprising the family. Enterprise. She had little... Where were we? Made them a few friends. She had little interest in business. Enterprises the family was infamous for. Furthermore, she was often rebellious to the wishes of the family and didn't find much company in the other Vermilion children. Only ever really listening. Only ever really listening to her older brother, Christoph. What Ella Claire did find interesting was firearms and history. In early years, she could be found poring over old texts on tactics and wars long past during the times when she should have been studying mathematics or accounting. She was also fond of sneaking out to the militia headquarters and practicing. Sneaking out into the and practicing. Oh. She was also fond of sneaking out to the militia headquarters and practicing shooting with many of the soldiers there. Her father obviously did not approve of this. When she was old enough, she started to spend less and less time. Civil War in Alenia? Oh, wow. The Yale Rectorate. No, I still don't have money. Oh, I still don't have money. Militia headquarters of practicing shooting with many of the soldiers there. Her father obviously did not approve of this. Oh. Did not approve of this. Oh, I gotta do this. Very important for me to keep up with my stuff. You know, very important. Her father obviously did not approve of this, and when she was old enough, she started... Oh. Her father obviously did not approve of this. Her father obviously did not approve of this, and when she was old enough, she started to spend less and less time in Flwoena, often disappearing from the city for months at a time, traveling in Griffonia, and almost completely untraceable. Her father obviously did not approve of this, and when she was old enough, she started to spend less and less time in Flowena, often disappearing from the city for months at a time, traveling to Griffonia, and almost completely untraceable. There was rumored that she tended to appear at various shooting competitions across Griffonia. She rarely spent time in Flowena. Wait, where was that? Oh yeah, she rarely spent time in Flowena. Wait, where was I at? Oh yeah, she rarely spent time in Flowena. Oh, whoop. Oh, we cannot pass up this. That's amazing sounding. She rarely spent time in Flowena, only really returning after her father's death. Her skill with the gun was well known by this point. Her skill with the gun was well known by this point. Her skill with the gun was well known by this point, and upon application with the militia, it was found. Oh, good for you. Her skill with the gun was well known at this point, and upon application with the militia, it was found that her ability and ambition... Oh, gotta get rid of those events. Her skill with the gun was well known at this point, and upon application with the militia, it was found... Oh. Her skill with the gun was well known at this point, and upon application with the militia, it was found that her ability and ambition extended far further than just down the sights of a rifle. I see. Oh, and now we gotta... We've also done monarchies were 12 for 1,000 years. Why should we change our government now? Radical changes can be very harmful, even dangerous for society. We'll make sure that every griffin understands the importance of tradition and old ways. Of course. Very important. And now we are doing Now we're doing a deterrence. Our culture and traditions are sacred. Our sovereignty must be secured in order for our national identity to survive. By fortifying our borders, we will make sure that any foreign power attempting to strike our homeland will pay the price. Let's see. Chocolate de Roseburn is the son of the famous and respected Bronze Zeno Magnificent, who ruled Flowena as mayor for decades before his death in 1003. Chocolate has been the mayor ever since, but in that time he has done very little besides host opulent parties at his family manor. The governance of the city has largely been left to the patricians of the Flwoena and the bureaucrats, both of whom have no desire to change anything, as in their eyes everything is fine. Recently, however, Chocolate has shown desire in taking a more active role and abandoning some of his hedonistic ways. We have class tensions. Inequality is high in Flowena, with a small group of politicians and guild members having most of the wealth and all the political power, with those outside the guilds have next to nothing. The lower classes are increasingly aware of their poor situation and demand change. We have the banks of Flowena. Flowena may be a city of gardens, but it is most famous for its banks. Centuries-long tradition of banking secrecy ensures all information about clients remain confidential, and vast vaults under the city are among the most protected places of Griffonia. The families that own the banks are by far the most powerful, weakest ones, and for the most part control the city's politics. Oh! The Blue Moon Festival, of course. Today, griffins around the world gathered to celebrate the annual Blue Moon Festival. Originating in Griffinstone, this traditional winter holiday is said to be the only time, and I do mean 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 the only time of the year when griffins are nice to each other. I mean that, nice to each other, nice. Families put aside their feuds for a day and come together to exchange gifts, decorate their houses, enjoy a delicious meal, consisting of griffins. Why don't we take those generous? Even the majority of the world have the griffins perfect to take money for the fighting and are often granted to leave so they can visit their homes while sharing much in common. The celebration differs from the Equestria's heartwarming Eve by having religious connotations. Ooh, a religion. Not commemorating a historic event and the lacking theater plays. It is said that the festival is a celebration of all Griffin's gods and divine unity in the pantheon, especially between the three main gods, Bars of Here and Arcturus. Over the years, the Erica have tried to push the events to focus on the three main deities alone, but especially in the regions, lesser deities are still venerated, and the different Griffins communities celebrate the festival in different ways, yes, different ways, with the tradition becoming more exotic the further away from Griffinstone you go. In recent times, the festival's religious importance has eroded, and it is becoming primarily a cultural event celebrating the common heritage of Griffinkind, a toast to family and unity. A true toast. We also have the old aids. Change for the sake of it never works well for those who instigate it. The old ways are simply the best. Oh yeah. And now we of course have the City of Gardens, nestled near the confluence. Winter moon celebration! Yay! Erin and the Palm is a prosperous city of Flowena. After Grover the First conquest, imposing fortress and industry. Before the advent of railroads, the main trade route between... Oh, I'm sorry, I missed a few lines. After Grover the First conquest, the settlement... After Grover I's conquest, the settlement grew around a imposing fortress built by the Aquilian kings, becoming a center of commerce and industry before the advent of railroads. The main trade route between Hersland and Aquilia was along the river Arn. Flowena profited from this greatly, especially on April 1st. They profited best on that day. Its Apprentians founding banks, which were among the largest ones in Griffonia. The city is famed for its numerous botanical gardens. See how it's underlined in green? That's important. Botanical gardens. Remember botanical gardens, which are used to produce dyes for thriving textile industries, as well as pursue. Actually, I should probably read what the Home Guard is first. By forming paramilitary units in which every griffin must serve for a time, we could drastically increase the amount of trained soldiers at our disposal, as well as improving our general defense capabilities. Now, where was I? I'll just start at the beginning of that paragraph, then. The city is famed for its numerous botanical gardens. Remember, botanical gardens important, which are used to produce dyes for the thriving textile industry, as well as perfumes and other products. The gardens contain many exotic plants, like botanical gardens. Yes, they grow botanical gardens in their botanical gardens. Also botanical gardens, as the beautiful works of Basery. The heart of the city is the Botanical Garden Square, surrounded by botanical gardens of the rich patricians. The city's populace are botanical gardens, for many refugees arrived during the botanical garden revolutions, where they overthrew their leaders, and the botanical gardens became the new leaders. This is a botanical garden. Don't you know? This guy right here is a botanical garden. Alongside the native botanical gardens, there are botanical gardens, and botanical gardens. Botanical gardens function as the botanical gardens, but almost every botanical garden is a botanical garden. Signs of botanical gardens, ever-depending botanical garden divide, could clearly be seen by the botanical gardens walking down the streets. The botanical gardens through the city has a botanical garden slum, a small sea of botanical gardens infested with botanical gardens. Well, the botanical gardens have botanical gardens, masterfully mixing botanical gardens and botanical garden styles. It is like two separate worlds in one botanical garden, but these two botanical gardens do not always live in botanical gardens, as you know. It is a botanical garden. Defend our botanical gardens. Every day, more and more botanical gardens threaten our botanical gardens. We must defend our botanical gardens from all manners of botanical gardens. Agreed. And we also have the botanical guard in. The various botanical gardens of our botanical garden constantly support the botanical garden. And we have leading the botanical garden. We must make sure that every botanical garden knows exactly what botanical garden's for. Every botanical garden serving in our botanical garden must be willing to botanical garden for our botanical garden. Word has spread quickly in the botanical gardens about unique botanical gardens that were found outside of the botanical gardens. They're small botanical gardens, creatures with botanical gardens, as well as large botanical gardens. The local botanical gardens have been numerous with them and told about them and their botanical gardens, which is how the botanicals begin to spread. Now, many botanical gardens are flocking to the botanical gardens where the botanical gardens were found to take a botanical garden at them. The botanical gardens are apparently giving out botanical gardens in exchange for botanical gardens. It is botanical gardens, how they botanical gardens, so many of them. But it seems that botanical gardens are easily tameable. Some, however, are already noticing how botanical gardens have a curious appetite for botanical gardens. Yes, they're eating their own kind. The yet unnamed botanical gardens are becoming a botanical garden craze, but it will likely blow over by Botanical Garden Day, once the botanical gardens have traded off all of them. They do seem like nice botanical gardens. Very nice botanical gardens. Leading the way, Let no botanical garden say that we will not shed every last drop of botanical garden to defend what? To defend our botanical gardens. And lastly, strengthen unity, or a botanical garden in unity. Even if we face near impossible botanical gardens, working with other botanical gardens, we can accomplish botanical gardens. Not only will we encourage botanical gardens and botanical gardens within our botanical gardens, but we will also strengthen our botanical gardens with our like-minded botanical gardens around the botanical gardens. And I think that's a good time to end this series. I hope you enjoyed this 18-episode-long series, all coming out on the April 1st, and all within this one botanical garden. Of course, we have a risk of famine, of course. Apparently, the craze surrounding the botanical gardens, now commonly known as botanical gardens, has not died down. In fact, they seem to be everywhere now, and the hunger has no limit. It has been reported that the botanical gardens are sexual and rapidly consuming botanical gardens. It is one isolated case of a botanical garden was locked up in a cage and given no food. Botanical gardens, which has resulted in the botanical gardens getting the Gucci Aid. There are botanical gardens. We have to do something. We have a risk of famine now. With our current botanical gardens, we might soon ride off botanical gardens to botanical garden. Man, what a horrible place to leave off this nation. But that'll be the end of this series. It's sad. I hope you enjoyed, though, and if you did, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button. And as always, declare war!